Look how calm and bold this water looks in this painting. Most of the beginner watercolorists fail to maintain this kind of mirror effect. In this video, I am going to show you step by step how to paint a beautiful water reflections even if you are an absolute beginner. How to simplify the shapes of the reflections and how to create depth into that by using wet on wet watercolor. I will start with the water. Will tell you exactly how you can build this effect of ripples. Also showing you my simple palette and how do I create natural green colors and create this kind of loose effect of greenery in watercolor. So shall we get started? For this tutorial, I'll be keeping my palette pretty much simple. Very common or basic colors I am using here. I am using lemon yellow, Naples yellow, bright blue. If you do not have, you can use cobalt blue or cobalt blue hue. Then I have ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, blue mist. If you do not have, you can use Payne's gray as an alternative. This will be my darkest color. Then I have some warm yellow, which is gamboge hue, and then I have some burnt umber for some muddy effect. That's all I will be using for this demonstration. Primarily, I'll be using two different types of brushes, flat brush and round brush. Flat brush I'll be using for larger areas for painting like the wash, the sky part and the water part and all. And that round brush of different sizes that are available to me, I'll be using based on the painting areas for different type of creating the shape. Let's start this painting by mixing some amount of bright blue and cerulean blue in two different pockets of the palette. I will spray some water on the dry paper before starting the wash. This small water droplets will help me to connect different strokes that I will be painting for the first wash. This is a very crucial method of watercolor painting wet brush on dry paper. During this time you should always maintain a trail for the first wash so that when you are going back for the next stroke you will be able to connect with that previous one, which will help you to create a very clean and transparent wash in the beginning itself. This first wash, you see I have created more values in the top of the sky as it is closer to us and the bottom of the water as that part is closer to us. The center area which is away from us for the both sky and the water, I have kept very less value there, so that will help to visualize the depth into this painting. Now in this damp paper I'll be using wet on wet method of watercolor to create those effect of ripples. So I am using basically that cerulean blue color, but you notice my brush has very less amount of water here because I want to have some sort of controlled shape here, and with time I am using more color and less water in this stage so that I have proper control on the shape that I am trying to paint here. Since I am not using a very high quality paper here, my paper has got little bumps after the first wash because the paper is stretched because of the wetness, and it will once again get shrinked once it dries out. So at this stage you please maintain the shape such a way that when it gets shrink you don't lose the shapes. And for darkening with that cerulean blue, I am using very small amount of that blue mist. If you do not have, you can use Payne's gray just to make it darker than what I had in the earlier strokes. Now here is the secret. I can still fine tune those edges by using a paper towel as long as the paper is damp. So basically fold the paper towel in a very fine edges and try to lift off those areas where you want to have slightly lesser color. Now I am working on that background and the middle ground area. Basically I'll try to create one variegated wash to show that complete effect. So I'll start with the background and with a very small amount of color of course to show that depth. So since it is distant object, I'll start with very less amount of color, and as I come forward I'll be changing the color as well as I'll be increasing my intensity of the color so that I will be able to establish that depth what is there in the reference. Please notice the color mixing very carefully and the kind of strokes that I am painting here. So basically at every time I mix a different color, I come back and connect to that previous stroke. This is very important so that the complete wash or the complete shape looks pretty much unified and connected together. To transit from that yellowish version to that greenish version, I have added bit of cerulean blue to my lemon yellow, and the idea here is to match the colors that I am looking in the reference. Wherever I see some sort of variation is there in the color, I am trying to add that in my painting. And that's why I believe as an artist we should be much more observant, so that more we observe, better we will be able to replicate that in our painting. Starting with the background greenery area here. So the basic idea here is to create that unified loose effect of that big chunk of greenery. I am making use of that green which is there in my palette, and you will see slowly I'll be adding up little bit of either of the blues, or whenever I need slightly darker colors I'll be adding that blue mist color to get that darker version of it. And I am just letting the color mix together and giving me that effect that I am looking for. Basically, the main aim is to get that light and the shadow effect created. So the light is appearing from the right hand side here as I see in the reference. So that's why I am just making slightly darker to my left hand side in this. Also, I am trying to show that little bit of shadow which is falling on the left hand side, so that that light what I'm trying to establish here becomes more prominent. Once these larger shapes are painted and kind of the effect that I wanted to show is established, I can always go back and create those small tiny details, creating slightly darker dots or some sort of detailing, so that it adds a little bit more depth into the painting. Here is one of my favorite brushes, Chinese calligraphy brush. I just wanted to use this for this left hand side tree. There is no specific reason for it, but I just wanted to use this at this stage. Here also I am just trying to maintain the same method as the other trees or the greeneries that I have painted. Now the stage is ready for us to paint the reflection here. All we have to do is to replicate that nearby object by maintaining its color as well as the shape of it. The water seems to be pretty much clean or the fresh, right? So because of that we should get the exact mirror image of that object which is nearby. So we don't need to think much about the color that we should be using as a reflection. So the nearby object's color only we will be trying to replicate as a reflected shape. As a part of this mixing of greens, I have been using this yellow and the rest of the blues that I have in my palette, and there is no fix recipe for that. I keep on mixing by looking at the reference until I get the desired shade that I am looking for. Now as a part of the reflection, I don't think much about the detailing or the right shape here. What I am trying to look at, that my nearby object is having some sort of shape, that I want to create exact opposite to that here. And along with that I am just trying to show some sort of wavy effect, right? So since I have painted the effect of ripples here, I should be leaving some of the areas so that that represents kind of the highlight area. Basically the bumpy portion of the waves which are disturbing that reflection. So one thing to notice here, that I am basically carrying a lot of colors when I'm trying to paint this reflection. The only aim behind that is I want to keep connected that complete shape of reflection so that they don't look isolated. That's my main intention, because the greeneries that I am showing up there, those are pretty much connected, right? And when the reflection comes on the water, it should also be connected all together. One more thing to notice here about the size of the reflection. The bigger your original object is, bigger will be your reflection, pretty much simple way if we look at. Although there can be complex situations or different situations, but pretty much here we are maintaining, okay, this much big our object is, and according to that the reflection will also be like that much of. For adding depth into this reflection, you should exactly follow the same kind of depth is there in the original object, right? So where all darker areas are there, you should also mention that same darker areas in the reflection, so that you get that original effect of light and shadow at the reflection as well. Once this reflection part is completed, I did little bit of details here and there wherever I felt it to be added, and after that I am using white color, pure white color, to add little bit of highlighted areas as well as reflection of those highlighted areas, and that basically gives pretty good effect in this painting, right? With that, this painting is completed. I hope you got some value out of it. You learned something new in this video. Let me know your feedback in the comment box. If you loved this video, do not forget to give a thumbs up. If you're new here, consider subscribing this channel. I will see you with another video next week. Till then, bye bye.